Mom, I'm in the middle of a game. Can you make me a panini? I'm entering my awful teenage years, so I'll make up terrible things to tell chat.
Alright, I'm back. Hey Biff, I want to ask you a few questions about commission that does not fit in any category. Is there any channel we can discuss that? Oh, Jessica! Oh my god, I saw your commission that you did for Buffy on, I think it was Twitter. It was really nice. DM me on, but Freda, you can DM me on Discord. And my VGen also does have like a miscellaneous request. So you can request like whatever it is under the sun with that one. And we can talk about it. How you doing, Sachiko? I hope you have a good day. I just got myself a banana milkshake that has the key lime pie advancedgg in it. It's really good. It's like a creamy, like, sweet but, like, slightly sour milkshake, so it's really good. Alright. Let me get my face tracking all set up. My iPhone's being funny. And then we're gonna get into it. I got to go. Eddie Bell. On my side, just chilling. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I like when people are like, I'm just vibing. Because that means you're vibing with me. Because I'm vibing too. Alright, let me take this edible. Let me add the Vexed because he requested it. 1J00. Vexed. Talk time. Alright. Let me add a line. Alright. 1800. He's our hero. Alright. Make sure everything's all set up. Oh shit. Background's wrong. Hold on. Or 0. Maybe this one. Alright. Oh, the background didn't change. There we go. Hello! Let me hide this desk really quick. Whoops. This shit up on me. Don't fuck 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 this shit up on me. 80. Your disco is reserved for you, so you don't. Oh yeah. I can accept it. Did you request me? Did you request it? Hold on, I can also find you. I know you're in Havoc's Discord as well. My bad. I don't know why that is. My settings make it so that way. My thing says that like if I'm in the same server as someone, usually let me look at it. 1800 data. Nope. Let's see. This one. Friend request from anybody. Yeah, I don't know why that is. But yeah, send me a friend request. We can talk. We can talk. Alright, Goofball Friday. About me. Don't fuck this shit up on me. Don't fuck this shit up on me. Alright. Quality family time. Oh, that was you! Okay, oh my god, sorry. My bad. Zero, friends here. My bad. I think I got it. Distracted while eating with my nephews, but feel free to start thinking, no problem. We're gonna start with boffies. Man, I wish you could send a message along with the request. You can't you? I've been DM'd before. And how'd that happen? Hold on. What's happening? forgot how to do the thing, but I think I added you. Let me know if I didn't, though. Hold on. Take me on a day, on and on away. Okay, it did work. Cool. All right, cool. All right, I will answer you in the background while we watch TikToks. So we'll start with Balfies. Starting in your butthole, twin. Oh wait, I should make that a checkpoint. Checkpoint. I keep getting the start digging in your butt, twin memes. Sorry, that was like really bad, but like I keep getting those. All right. All right. I'm gonna do a recording of this because I want to see if I can record and do this. Hello. All right, we're gonna start with Boffies today, and hopefully the recording should have the audio from. Actually, I can test it really quick. Let me test it. You see the little guy vibe. I got back from the shower. Perfect timing. Okay, hold on. Oh my god, we should do the 1 hour of silence thingy. There was one that's hamster. Hold on. Okay, and then let me stop recording. And let me just make sure that that does what I want it to do. And saves and videos. 2025. This one. Hey! Oh my god, that was the wrong stream. What's this one? I'm here, but so it's okay. We're gonna do Boffies stuff first. We'll watch Boffies first, and then Kiwis. And then yours. Okay, it does work. It does work. I just have to turn it up a little bit. Love y'all. Of course, Boffy. We have to make sure we're telling you the moment that we know and the moment that it happens, you know? Alright. If it's too loud, we'll control it, but I think it should be good for now. Elena never got... I saw it! I saw it on Twitter! I was telling Sachi about how I saw it and I really liked it. I like it a lot. It's nice. I like it. I might be out of work by then, but I've been getting my cheeks clapped. It's okay, Pookie. It's okay. We're recording this, so I'll do like... Hopefully, when I get time, I can do like a... Oh, I can just... No, I'll just upload... Because I'm recording this, so you can watch it later with the audio. So, yeah. I'll post it somewhere. Probably, like, in the Discord. I'll have, like, a TikTok reel thing or something. Okay. What? Okay. Interesting. We'll have to try that out. I know a place and said place is a goth museum full of gnarly curiosity and haunted artifacts. Ayo. I see you. I definitely will check it out. That's why I favorited it. No. Good lord. Is this the one where they give him a chair? Give him a chair? So he can sit on the chair? My friend TZ the baby. Yippee! That's how oh my god, I showed this to Pixels. This was fucking crazy. He just fucking targeted attack onto the little guy's balls. Just kidding, of course. I like how she like held onto it, like just kidding, of course. I saw that clip in like 6 different TikToks. It was valid. Literally me. That's okay. I mean, it's just a come on. It's just a hand job, man. It's like so what's the catch? That's what I'm saying. I love people that can do I love Robin Williams fucking fucking what are they called? What are they called? What is it called? What is it called? Voice impressions. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's just how it be. That's just how it be, you know? Well, just now, apparently. My dad never told me to stop talking. You love Robin Williams? No, I like his voice impressions, Max. I like people when they do voice impressions. There's one person on TikTok, though, that looks like Robin Williams and talks like him, and they do live sometimes. It's kind of cool. No. Also, my face tracking is like a little off. Oh, that's actually right. What the fuck? Okay. Weird. I would get okay. I know who you're yeah. He's pretty famous on TikTok. Is this a Sonic song? I've never played Sonic Underground or seen it. Oh, what? Saka Bam Bam Peace. There's a song about him. Yo! Kind of gross. Aw, I was hoping he'd actually be a really cool werewolf. Ew. Oh, Jesus Christ. That's how I feel when I eat crunchy foods. I don't like eating I don't like eating super crunchy toast. Just that's how. That's awesome. How's you gonna? I want one of those. I want one of those. So Pixels can talk to me. That's actually amazing. Give me a sub with a what? Nice. Fuck yeah, Q. Use it. Use it. I want to see. Oh yeah, the queso crochet. Got a little butthole. Oh hell yeah! Oh my god, it's like him rocking out. That's awesome. Unfathomable. You'd buy that? That's valid. It does look soft. No! Not the baby! Ooh! Gotta pick up the frog. The frog! The frog! Oh my god. Whoa. Was this guy gonna do the same thing? Oh, fuck, brother. Ow. That mama's face had a zipper and it's a. I like that. You put little snacks in them. Ooh. Mm. Dude, let go. Let go. You should let go. Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. He was. No! Oh! That poor baby. Oh, no, that was unlucky. Oh. That wasn't so bad. Maybe the little handstand. I did not like that. He looks like. Who does he look like? Fuck, I had the image in my head and now it's gone. Who did he look like? Now it's gone. I'm too disturbed by the fact that he's just staring at the screen like that. I have scars from when my dog dragged me on the sidewalk. Yikes! Ow. Wanna do, yeah. Don't let Ariel walk a Saint Bernard. Oh, fuck no. No, no, no. They're too strong. What? Wait, what? Yeah, you don't need a Canva for that, but Canva is a great resource. Is it called to make a Canva instead of like... Oh, okay. This is... I can agree with this. No. Oh, no. No. Yeah, you don't. Oh. How'd you get it printed? Oh, I feel like this one is targeted at me. I like Canva too, so I get it. I mean, I use Canva for all my TikTok videos. Alrighty, we got, was that the, okay. I just want to make sure I copy this. Okay. And then we'll do kiwis next. I had a poor showing this week. No, I like yours. That's okay. It's okay. Kiwi sent like 88 of them. Vex sent like 100 of them. It's alright. Gotta shake it up every now and again, you know? Okay. Edits art peak check. Okay, that's what I said. Okay. No! What do you mean I have beef with a raccoon named Greg? Don't forget the secret project. You want me to look at that now? I can look at that now since it's your turn. You want? I haven't peeked at all. I haven't peeked at all. We have. You want me to look at it now? I can look at it now. No, I just want the okay. I just want to make sure like I got the okay to look at it. Okay. Okay. Open link. Open link. Open link. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. If you make your way toward the Harmony Mountains through a sea of tall grass, you come across a lone barn, an old place in the middle of being renovated by someone with loving yet clumsy hands. Aww. A sign hangs over the entrance that reads Milk Club, a place known to welcome anyone with kindness in their heart. And at its center is a peculiar young woman who is part cat, part cow, and part something more. Her name is Elaine, a dreamer who lives and breathes art, fun, and hope. Inside, a melody of hums and absent-minded singing fills the barn as Elaine and her little family go about their day. While she's busy hanging up art, Moira the cat lounges in her favorite sunny spot under the window, her rest only interrupted by a small bipedal cow named So Young and a chocolate creature named BLT chasing each other around. I like how, like, Moira has a name, like a proper name, So Young has a proper name, and then it's just BLT. When the day's fun comes to an end, the four snuggle up in bed, drifting off into peaceful dreams so powerful that they lead a young cat-cow to her purpose. One that has her regularly venturing out from her quiet home into the wider world. While on those adventures, she comforts those going through their own struggles and inspires them to chase their dreams, no matter how far away they may seem. That overflowing kindness makes her new friends that quickly invite her to play games and ask for her drawings to keep a piece of the light she brought through their lives. These adventures weren't always smooth sailing, though. Occasionally, her party had to endure unpredictable seas, and during an especially turbulent storm, the lightning and wind threatened to tear their ship apart. Elaine struggled against the raging gale in an attempt to steer them into calmer waters. Meanwhile, BLT and So Young hung on with all their strength their tiny arms would allow, the situation becoming more dire by the second. Elaine dug deep to summon everything she had, and the memories of her adventures flooded her mind. She knew she was meant to do more, that she had a purpose. My cat just came in, the sign that Moira is also approving of the story. That she couldn't give up. Her determination grew until it manifested as a bright light that transformed her, or more accurately, awakened her true power. The light even kindly dressed her in a rather gorgeous outfit. With her new powers, she pushed back the storm, leaving only clear skies and a gentle wind that carried them to the shore. Once they landed, the power faded and she returned to normal, but it didn't completely vanish. Throughout the remaining journey, she noticed that not only could she sense people's dreams, she could now connect to them and hold back the nightmares. Just like a light holding the dark at bay, the light in her heart gave Elaine a newfound confidence. That's what's called therapy. With it came the courage to invite her friends to visit the Milk Club whenever they needed somewhere to rest or have fun. A place that represented everyone's dreams. The trio's home was fully repaired and looking even better than they remembered. Moira meowed from the window to welcome them home. A second one let them know they were gone for too long. Elaine then slid open the barn doors with a burst of energy, and they were greeted by dozens of their friends, excited to see them. Her bright smile proudly showed off her fangs, and a purple light shimmered over her, outlining the memory of her transformation. Only time can tell what her adventure will hold. I love it! I love it. I'm gonna save it. Hold on, I'm saving them. I'm saving them. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hi. Huh. The NVIDIA thing wasn't on, if that...
No, you're just...
I'm kinda peeking, but I have the limiter on. There's no way I can peek. I didn't hear the clappies cry. Yeah, I was just about to fix that before Pixels came in. Did you want to do something to my mic? I mean, we could turn the limiter down. Why are you telling me this now? Is this not a thing from before? Like, wouldn't this have happened, like, in other streams? Oh, okay.
It was like hard to tell, but then it would sort of definitely.
Okay. Okay. Oh. Yeah, right? That's what I... Yeah. Okay. It's okay. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix the alert. There we go. I don't know why it was lit. I think I had to re-log in. Did I save all the... Thank you so much, Kiwi. Thank you so much. I'll have this as a lore section on my website. Because I've seen a lot of people have that, so. Alright. I don't know. I refuse to have... What the fuck? I'm so excited for this anime. God damn! It's not her fault she's built like a queen, bro. Hot mood. The animator's so good, that's valid. In paradise, but I wouldn't sacrifice. Got more energy than me, this guy does. Very talented, very graceful. God damn. Do they really have... Damn, the video wasn't long. That's crazy. Good job, that's cute. What's happening? No! I love that. Feet are feet. Bro, my cat's knocked down Kurapika, and now he's just chilling. Like, damn. I love Hunter x Hunter, man. I need to finish that one. Is this the one where he's trying to make the bunny suit? Yeah. I don't have any hooves. I got feet. I got feetsies. These I got feetsies. I don't got none of that. I don't got none of that fucking the hooves. I mean, my shoes kind of look like hooves if you think about it. I don't have hooves though. The only cow trait I have are my milkers and my horns. Do I have to update Dead by Daylight? Hold on. Do I need to update that? Dead. It's a good thing I checked. Okay. I know a little bit too much. I saw clips about this morning. Proof? 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 I can take my shoes off. I think they still look normal. I actually don't know. Shoes. I have like little nubs. I have little nubbies. I have little nubbies. You like my nubbies? That's all you get though. My little nubbies. What are my nubbies? Did you like my nubbies, Vex? Oh, God damn it, Vex, I forgot. Socks stay on. Sorry, I just really wanted to finish that. Okay. But yeah, I know, I've seen the clips. I saw the clip of like this episode of what happened. What's happening? Oh, her tummy hunky? Was not expecting the daily is out for you full pucks. I have my socks on. So they look more like nubbies. What the fuck? Damn. She's so cute. Oh, she's so cute. What the fuck? What's happening? Flippers? Is it the cat? Oh, it was the cat. I was right. Oof. I like that. That's funny. Lizard. 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 It's 42. Lizard. Lizard, 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 lizard. You know she oh, you know she's done that to her clizzard, yes, sir. My George. This is so cute. Yay! Do it, do it, do it, do it. I've seen this one. Do it! Do it! Oh, wait, no, I thought it was the other one when he flips him off. snorts. Oh, they got a big old belly. Hello, babies. Oh. Yeah. I'm sorry. I think chopsticks were invented 5,000 years before. This is fucking hilarious to me. I actually kind of want this. Yo. No, I want to use insect. These are pretty damn close to insect mandibles, though. About to grab a bite of something else? Pixels, what the fuck are you crashing out of my channel? What do you mean? Is this a threat or a flirtation? This shit is just tongs? Yeah, like tiny tongs. But you can also spoon. You can scoop. Pretend I'm an ant? Oh, yes. Nah, cause like you could pick up wet things. The thing is, you could pick up wet things. They are, but like, wait, no, you could. But with chopsticks, you can't pick up liquid. See, it scooped the beans. What's the difference at this point? Stop it. Did I answer before the pixels get there? No, I have a cat. It's not a real cat. It's tiny cat. It's Mr. Smalls. What is happening? Oh. Oh. What was that? What? Uh-uh. Uh-uh. No. Mm-mm. 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 Mm. Okay. All right. I saw that and you just didn't react. I'm glad you. Dude, I was like, oh man, this guy is like, he's like fucking not here. I'm going forward. This guy, he's like telling us a really serious thing because I've seen this guy before, and like he's here to talk to us about something, but I didn't know what that thing was, so I had to know what the thing was. God damn. Okay. Baby. He still walked. Oh shit. Boop, boop, boop. Hello, babies. Tapatio is crazy. Tapatio Hot Sauce has commented. Oh, I should have my mouse. You guys can see. Also, what did I do? That's not my mouse. Oh, okay, I see. This one. Oh, I should hold this. I can hold this. And then we have all the plushies. Everyone's on screen now. Ain't that right, So Young? Let's go back. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna stop. No, it's okay. This here. Okay. Oh my god, he's Chinese TikTok? What the fuck is that tissue box? What's happening? What's happening? Oh. Oh, what mice in the garden? What do you mean? That laugh at the end is crazy. Now it's crazy. Also, hi, Taylor. Oh, wait. Oh, please be more. Oh, please be more. Yes. Thank you for the check-in bags. Thank you for the check-in check. Oh! The back of it had a little pull tab. Yo. Thank you for the wellness check as well. This edible is hitting faster than ooh. Oh, did he hit mama? Oh, not really. Pinched his probably pinched his finger. Cheese, baby. Oh my goodness, that baby's so pink. I think he needs to breathe, brother. Oh. Oh. No, don't let the chicken eat styrofoam, baby. Babies are not horrible creatures. Babies are happy about such much. I love it. I love it. Oh. Oh. I love babies. Nah, I love babies. Have you guys seen the baby that laughs at tape? Baby that laughs at tape. Also, Fredo, I saw your message. Are you asking for a character sheet? Because if you are, I don't think I'm the best person for it, but I do think if you want someone with... I do know someone who could probably do you a really good job for you. I'm fascinated how I'm literally the biggest distraction to my nephew. I love kids, man. There's a wonder about them that surprises me. Like, they just make life good. Also, sorry, I'm really high now. I didn't think it would be this hard. Looking for because they do for body. Wait. Oh, yeah. My friend Choco does. Cause I cap at doing full body chibis like this. It's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna forget after stream. I'm gonna forget after stream. And so second and third pick. Alright. Pogging. Okay. Do. Where's Kiwi? Giveaway Chibi December. Kiwi. And then the one that I'm currently working on for Fury. There you go. Toga did a character recipe 10 out of 10 would recommend, yeah. I was sending them the one that they made for me with my painter farmer outfit. They do a really good job. Also, okay, this baby. Is it baby? She just loves the sound of tape. Kiwi, stop. I love this baby. That's the best baby in the world. Pizza Jet 2 holiday. And now you can save 20 pounds. Huh? Lizard. Oh, it's so cute. Yes. Green. Lime green. None. God damn it. When sea meets shore? Oh. Oh no, I only got one. What was the question? Oh god. Okay. Hexagon? 2! No, son of a bitch! No! And on the outside. 365. Yeah, okay, I got two. Not called sand. 2? Ah! Because his arm is too short? Because they're extinct! Is a good Elaine got suitably high for this? Yup. I'm so mad, dude. What do you mean? What? Do you work with Doug? I'm dead sober and this is impossible. Using myself as Kaiju Godzilla VTuber to Raiders. Lizard. She technically is a lizard. I've seen this. Be the chosen one? Okay. Shit, dude, moral or oral is crazy, bro. That didn't look this doesn't look flexible. That looks painful. I don't wanna. I was a ghost, I was alone. Ha. Ha. He's okay. On the throne, I didn't know how to believe. Lane, I'm sad. I want to play Major Arena with you, but the game is full of people shouting slurs, so probably not a stream game. And you would need like 8 people to make a good lobby. What is Major Arena? Major Arena. Wow, Ruby ripped off Robin all along. What? Huh, this looks fun. This does look fun. Go up, PvP. That's fun. That looks fun. This one. Okay. I just wanted to know if you're slow because. Okay. Alright. Alright. Robin, the character in the edit. Dude, I'm gonna be real with you. Cat sends me One Piece edits. I've never seen One Piece. It's a PvP mage game where you have to shout your spells and open mic. That sounds so funny though. We can get 8 people. Dude, that was so good. How much base do y'all want for this? What? Yo. Well, I'm just gonna turn it down a little. Boop. That sounds sick. Oh. Eminence and Shadow is one of my favorite all-time isekai on God. This one? This one? Eminence and Shadow? Okay, I'll favorite it. I liked it. What's this one? Oh. See, bro? What? What? Wow, a helicopter just flew like 100. Oh, are you okay? Bro's on a different level of edgelord for real, for real? That's crazy. Oh, fancy. Oh, big waff. I was gonna be funny and I was gonna be like, these eyes. But then again, the lizard's eyes. I'm good. It was cool, and I feel like the roto wash. Been in the nutty putty cave. What do you mean? Woo! What's happening? Whoa! Okay. Call her pretty. She said, "Oh, thanks so much. I have that, but." I saw these frogs. I like this one and this one. They're cute. I have to send this one to devouring. Yes, I got this one. This is so cool. If you don't get it right, don't worry. There's a law for that. One a law. Wait, don't put your dick in the hold on now. Do not put your dick in machine. Serious danger to handle. Who's the hung monster that lost his wings for the warning? No! No! Lost a follower, so he must unpet cook. No! Oh. I need to remove out that machine. That's for the Transformers. Oh, god damn it. That's actually really good. Hi, Daedalus. Thank you for the wellness check. Let me drink some water. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what this is about, but I want to watch it. If you haven't, aww, thanks, Kiwi. I'm proud to announce that I am making a terrible decision, but I'm not telling you what it is, so you can't stop me. Okay. Okay. Fuck yeah, that was cool. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, well, that's going on in Vibe and Shine. Ah! What's up with the Empress of the Sea? This hit. Because Kiwi and Vex have decided to send me edits. That's why. It goes hard. Hey, this one's going on. Oh. God damn! Gotta give you something to rip your lich side. That's valid. I like it. I was told to send edits, and by God, I don't do half measures. Fuck yeah! Yes, the fat baby, the fat baby. I love him. You donkey. I love him. Can we throw in a dog treat machine for Elena connected? Yes, bro. Oh God, dog treat machine. How would I even code that? How could I code something like that? How would I do that? I mean, technically, holy shit, wait, how could we do that? How could we have it to where every time chat talks, it would have to be a smart one. It would have to be a smart pet feeder. Fuck, hold on. My brain is thinking. Hold on, I have to ask my roommate. I have a question. It is very important. Could we connect a smart dog treat feeder to Twitch? So chat can give me an M&M. I need it! I need it! How would we do this? How? Because we don't need it. It doesn't need to have a camera. So how? Theoretically, how would we do this? How would we do this? How? Okay. You know what? Okay. But because like I don't want to make it too. I don't want to make it too like a too expensive one. Because if we could just do it with like a simple dog treat thing, that would be perfect. I definitely. Oh yeah. Okay, Vex. Dude, we could do Freudian slip. Yep, that's what I thought. I think like the easiest way would to me one using a 3D printer and simple machinery. I think we'd have. I just feel like there has to be a way. I mean, birds have stopped. Yeah, dog treat. Okay, wait. Let's go on Amazon. Okay, so you, cause like we'd want one that could connect. Because, okay, essentially how I'm thinking of it could be done, right, is that we could connect it to an external source that allows for, like, hotkeys. Instead of, like, phone button. Oh, wait. Okay, new question. What if we could have a command in Sammy that types out a thing that mimics something that it does on the phone? Because I'm presuming they're phone hotkeys to feed it, right? And then that hotkey goes to feeding them or something. This one, automatic food timed cat one. This is an auto one. Okay, I'm gonna try to get home before it's my turn. Okay, no problem. Have a script that moves a panel, swinging it directly under a container back. But then I'd have to get like a whole, like I'd have to get like a Pi, wouldn't I? Like a Pi PC? Can't. Or like, no, the raspberries? Yeah, Raspberry Pi. Like a Raspberry Pi. I built a tree just never kind of integrate. Oh my god! I created the street just because I want people to be able to interact with my cat. I'm the cat, which is only which is often displayed on my stream. There were a lot of pieces that I wanted around, but no good demo of everything together. I recently made a new version and want to showcase. Blizzard has a treat reservoir at the bottom of the cupboard by a disc connected to a server. The server is connected to a Raspberry Pi, which once refused the included the cat. Yeah, like this is what I want. I love it. How do I so you have a chonky boy? How does he talk about how he made it? No, he just shows it off. How could we do this? How could we do this though? What is the cheapest way to do this possible? Because like I don't know if it'll be a forever thing. But maybe it would be. And now I gotta like figure out okay, the cheapest way to do it, I think, is if we get one of these, like a little gumball machine that does M&Ms, right? And then what we do is we have special coins, like milk coins, that Pixels could 3D print, and I could put one in, and every time you would hear it crank, and that's how you would know I got the treat, and I'm not bullshitting. And then, yeah, I get a treat. We could do that. Yes, the same brain? Okay. So we gotta get like a candy, like a small candy machine. Like I want the actual one. Mini candy dispenser. Okay, maybe too far in the hard. But we shall get then instead a coin, oh shit, I can't type, operated candy machine. And Pixels will 3D print me a coin. And then cat can, I can't type, can hear the clank of the machine, so they know I ain't lying. I ain't lying. Okay. Then put candies. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So every month we'd have a different candy. It'd be so cool. We'd have to look up like a coin. Hold on, let me play music. Okay. Coin operated candy machine small. Yeah, like this. Dude, wait, dude, guys, oh my god, this would be so crazy. We wouldn't do this. On God, we wouldn't do this. But imagine if we bought one of those, like, gumball machines. If we bought a whole ass gumball machine just to fucking do this, that would be fucking insane. Dude, that'd be so funny, though. We shouldn't do that, though, because it's kind of like, it's a lot of candy, to be fair. Also, I don't really want to lug that thing up 3 stairs. This would be perfect. This is perfect. For snacks and gumballs and token payment system. Mini automatic. Okay, well, I don't want to buy one off of Alibaba. But maybe we can go on Amazon. Amazon? I'm so distracted by this. I have to put this on Throne. So hard to find the right product. You could even do it with just Sammy if the Spencer's right kind. Yeah, I didn't. Oh, please. Chat is making me make a thing on Throne, so this can't happen. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But wouldn't this be too big? Do we get the toys? Do we get this? Do we get toys with it? I could put toys and can. Oh my god, I could put the ducks in there. But then I'd be sad because then I wouldn't have. But then I'd be sad because I forgot what I was talking about. Does that have to be like candy coin operated metal? This one. This is in euros. God damn it, Boffy. Oh shit, I fucked it up. Metal coin operated. The tariffs. The tariffs! What is this? An error has occurred. What the fuck is a small AI? Yeah, but this one's like $80. Also, how are we gonna share device? I just give you guys access to the fucking. That'd be crazy. Sorry. It's okay, Bobby. So I don't want to get a plastic one because I shall break. $209 is fucking crazy. Give me something more. Next door. Price don't matter with the crowdfunding. That's too high. No, the best. Okay, wait, hold on. How would the one you sent me, Kiwi, work? Would I give you guys access to the account? I'm a little one and I'm on. I don't know how I feel about it being a whole ass smart one though. Oh, this one's cute. But these are like whole ass balls. I'd have to like. Oh, that'd be fine though, because then it's just more candy. More candy or more stuff per. We do that. Sim is also looking some up. Because I asked Sim to help. Because I don't know how else we can do this. But he says it's possible. He says it's possible. You'll have to do a bot if it's automated. Yeah, I'm gonna use Sammy. Sim already said that like we could use Sammy for it. You just make little baggies, yeah. Yeah. I mean it comes with the balls. Oh wait, I got a little crane machine on Temu. I don't wanna you want me to play a whole ass crane machine, dude? I'm gonna be so bad at it. Are these silicone? Are the eggs silicone? Or are they plastic? I think they're recycled plastic. I think they're plastic. You could be like, make it like an expensive with free redeems, like 10K or like bits, so it kind of pays for itself. That's valid. It's smaller than a microwave. You think I have skills as big as an ant, my guy? I have skills of an amoeba. I am plankton. And Sim is looking it up though, so we can wait a little bit to see what he says. I like this idea though. Candy dispenser coin operated. Bits could go straight to the snack fund. Oh, they could. I'll have two ways. It'll be a really expensive redeem that doesn't have a cooldown, or it'll be like a bits thing, but yeah, it'll have like a cooldown. Maybe is what I'm thinking. Oh my god! Chat, this one uses a mason jar. Chat, I understand that this isn't as cool because you have to pull the thing out, but like that's actually really cool though. It's made by Amish people. Chat. It's made by Amish people. No, my ratio of understanding is here. I can't hear you from that far. What's up?
I have the same 3D print formation jar candy dispenser.
But how would we make it automatic though? Or do I have to do it every time?
Oh, yeah.
But I want it to have a coin thing. I want to make coins.
Yeah, we have ones where you can do a 3D print coin.
Can I see what it looks like? Because if I don't like the way it looks.
We can make it. A lot of them are just some shapes.
Wait, so I can look up.
Go to things.
Go to things. Okay, hold on, chat. Pixels has had this idea that we could 3D print one, but they could pay for the filament to have it done.
Yeah.
Okay. Candy dispenser?
It's all thing.
Hold on, I want. Is this the one that... Yes! That's what we were saying! We were like, we would hook it up so that way chat could redeem it, and then it would automatically give it to me. For candy jar? What is that?
Oh, they made a jar.
Oh, is it like this?
Yeah.
Oh. You could also put treats on Throne and make it like fully crowdfunded. Look up Larry Bot. Okay, I do like that idea though. But also, I would just want it. What is this? What is this? What is Larry Bot for? I'm getting Larry Boy. May I have a snack? Anything? Alright. Thank you. Man, I'm not against this one. But it says it's a Nutella candy jar. It also work for mason jars. But this one could be cute too, because then like Pixels has really cute filament. Face over gives you help, gives you help. I'll link. It's another Twitch pet feeder. Ote. It's kind of cute though. To be honest, I just wish we could get like one of these. Oh my god. It's so cute though. But Sim is typing, so I gotta wait. I want one now. I just want one in general. You could also edit the file and make it more custom. Yeah, that's true. I mean, to be honest, I really just want like a pretty traditional looking one. Like not too crazy. We use something like this. It uses Wi-Fi in an app. Once we get it, I just need to check what the app does to trigger the dispensing. This one's only $40, and Sim says we could do it with this one. Whoa. But this one's motion activated. I don't want a motion activated one because then we don't get the cool ka-chink. I want the ka-chink. Edit the motion sensor code to connect with chat. I guess we could, yeah, would that work, I guess? Would this work? Do? Like, change motion control to chat reading? Well, we could do that one or we could do this one. This one is actually more expensive than this one. But Sim says if we did this one, you hook up Sammy to something on Twitch and have it send the same request the app does. And it's like that. You should add a Kerchunk sound. But no! That's so ungenuine. I know. I want, cause like then you could guys will be like, I redeemed the candy, and then I don't do it. I forget. And then you're like, did you do it, Elena? I'll be like, probably. But then you would know if I did it or not. It's accountability. And immersion. Oh, dude, I've always wanted to try a cotton candy machine. Anti-theft locking system. Oh my god, look! It's a cardboard one. It's a cardboard one. Cheap mic next to the bowl. That's valid, actually. This video's slow as fuck. We wouldn't hear the chunk anyway, like, you're back. Oh, shit. That's true. Also, you wouldn't hear it with this either, because of that. But this might be big. This looks big. I want something smaller. I hope this one can work, actually. Because this one looks small. Chipped my M&Ms. Well, yeah. Pixels could print this. He could print this. It's either, do we want it to be automated? Or is it okay if I do it manually? Like, would you guys be okay if I did it manually? Let's go with something new. Operation. What do you think will be the best idea? I'm trying to see. It's like if we just get one of these, I can bring it close and then chat can hear the chunk. You know?
Yeah.
But like we could otherwise, we could do it automated.
Why does it need to be automated? Just because.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
So one's to jump scare you, and the other's practice. Oh, I mean, like, if you want to, yeah, we could. But I agree with Tim. Like, if we want to do it automated, we should just we get up on our Arduino or some shit. Make a little mechanism. Very over the top. About it is
It's just a toy thing. So should right. So what's the best course of action?
If you want just a chunky metal thing to go chunk with, get the chunky metal thing online. If you want an automated thing, or you don't want to spend $90, that you can 3D print it, or like I think you want an probably still like 3D print it and write code that hooks up to a little computer thing.
Okay. How about middle of the road? I promise I'll do it every time if we get this. But it will play a Kerchunk arcade noise. So it still jump scares me, but I still promise to do it. So it's like best of both worlds. They get what they want, which is
to jump scare you.
To jump scare me, and then I get the security that they're just gonna trust me to do it. So I feel bad if I have no like accountability.
Accountable that you're gonna eat a snack.
Mm-hmm.
You realize you've eaten 3 snacks while you're sitting here, right? Okay. Glad we settled that debate.
Okay. Okay. So I think my plan is a good plan. I'll have Pixels 3D print me a candy dispenser. Mine's candy dispenser. Now we just have to find a cute one. We want cute. Does it come with the little things though? I feel like if the snacks are out in front of you, I believe you will eat them. Yeah. No, I mean, especially if they're just right there. Oh! This one's so cute. Oh my god. That's where you go help yourself like a snack gremlin. No, I can reserve myself. That's a real one, by the way. What do you mean? Oh my god, you get toys. Oh my god. Using Abisher is no foul play. That's valid. But y'all know what I'm eating. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys know that I'm having a snack right now. Oh, this is for cards, though. Okay, I think Josh, Sim, and Pixels are talking right now. So, I'll see their verdict, and then I'll make it. We should go back to the TikTok show. I wish I put. I'm gonna put it in the club room. Hold on. At maincoow. Chat. Snack. Dispenser. This is the way I remember, because I'm not gonna do it right now to put on the throne, but now I remember. Gashapon machines? I know, that's what I'm saying. Gashapon machines would be really cute on. Because Poppy sent us a few. Oh my god. I don't know what the verdict is. Gashapon machines are really cute though. What is this one? This is official branded Namkai. Bandai. Jesus. Okay, I'm here. Song request. Okay, I will. Hold on. Mama. Damn. How about desk? Damn, what the fuck? You're really the only one I think. There could be some game with the redeem, like Plinko. That'd be cool. Pretty cute. I think that's a little too much coding to get to our end result, but that's not a bad idea either. Candy dispenser. I'm just gonna look up dispensers. I mean, this was really cute though. The wood one. The wood one's really cute though. I'm just waiting for the song to end so that way we can go back to the thing. I don't want to skip the song because Shadow Redeemer. I don't want to cut the points. That would be funny. It'd be funny if we could do this redeem, but with a Pez dispenser. That'd be pretty funny. What the fuck? Guys, there's one where we could build a candy dispenser. We could build one on stream. I could stream me making whatever the fuck this is. There's ratings for it. I am good. I am very high, but I'm good. No, I forgot what the solution was. It's a build your own candy dispenser kit.
Damn, you got sidetracked as hell. Okay. Well, Sim was like, if it was Wi-Fi enabled, then you could have enabled it probably. And then also, if you just, the solution you said before I left the room was basically just, you make a redeem that makes a per chunk sound, and then you just manually do it.
The second one's probably better, right?
It'll be a lot simpler.
Not less expensive for chat.
And less expensive, and you could do whatever type of candy dispenser you want.
Okay.
Because if you get an enabled one, you have to do that.
Why?
That's the only option. You're not
gonna
there's no such thing as a
does that mean we can get this one?
if you want that.
Chat, I want this one! It's made out of wood and it's really cute. And it's only 40, but there's a 20% coupon. A 20% coupon. So if Chad just gives me $50. $40, my bad. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. An animal.
Yeah.
I can't read.
What you want. I mean, it's just a little drawer.
Yeah. You just pull it out and boop.
Yeah, I mean, if this is what you want.
I mean, if we wanted to be silly, I'd get the build your own kit because that was also the same thing. You pull it out and it like scoops it. Yeah. I mean, that kind of be cool though.
The salami lid ain't gonna fit.
Ain't gonna fit.
So the salami lid won't fit. The salami lid. Salami lid ain't gonna fit like that. So the salami lid and it's the salami lid.
Vanilla candy. That's what I want. That's what I want. Oh my god. Whoa. Wait, guys, wait. Hold on. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Candy vending machine, stunts and trick, build your own toy vending machine, and coin bank? That's crazy. Part of me feels like we're getting a gambling machine, kind of. Alright, Shadow. Thank you for the song redeem, but I'm gonna have to reject you, buddy, because we gotta go back to watching TikToks. On a little bit of a schedule tonight. I apologize. I realized another song did play. My bad. But still, yeah. This one will be cool too. This one. Yo, this one colored. $140. What the fuck? This one's only $30. And I was gonna say, because we could get this one, and then I could like write people's name in chat who does this. I could paint it a base thing, and then I could like print or write like people's names or print people's names on it. Okay, I need to confirm with the council. So I really like this one. But like, I really like this one. But yeah, anywho. Squirrel. We got back here. Oh my god, go! Great typhoon. With all the strength of a raging fire. Understandable. That's sad. That's sad. 35-year-old woman. What the fuck? That's valid. Kitty! Oh, little baby. Oh, little baby. Oh, little baby. Thinking about how I gotta go to work tomorrow instead of waking up in a fantasy world enjoying the Adventures Guild with bros going on a bunch of quests. Yep. Oh no. Oh! Oh! Oh no! What happened? What happened? Wait, what happened? What happened? What happened here? What's happening? Ooh. Oh! Oh! I got this. They're upset because Dad shaved. I get it now. Yup. Okay, I got it now. The baby's so sad. Goddamn. Goddamn. Okay. You sent me an ad, Kiwi. Oh, wait! I see! We would do this. However this works, that's how we do it, right? And if I see them, I might... What? 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 Okay. Alright. Wait, nope, that's the wrong one. There you go. Sexy Enderman. Oh! Oh, I get it. Okay. Is Vexed here? I don't know if Vexed is home yet. But we need to begin because this is the longest section. And we need to go hang out with YF soon. Chat, I want this one. Chat, I want this one. I want that one. I want that one. I think about it. Yeah, I want that one. Okay, I got it. Ooh, it's good. 40% off. Oh my god! Perfect! Yeah. Oh my god, Vex, we're crowdfunding a candy dispenser that I'll only use, but every time you guys redeem it. And also, I am going to the fucking I am going to also give it an alert sound to do the kerchunk, and also I'm going to what the fuck do you call it? I will make like a little animation for it or something. Yeah. Chat. Give Elaine treat. Okay. Yippee! Wait, I didn't put it for crowdfunding. My bad. Hold on. I gotta do it again. Check and dispenser. Let's give Elaine treat. And then this one. Okay, I got it. An easy way you could hook up bits to Uber Eats or that'd be crazy. That would be crazy, dude. Man, we'd eat so good or we'd eat so poor. And either way, free food always tastes good in my mind. Oh, nice. I heard some of the bits on my drive home, but I'm way more focused on the... What happened? What? Okay, there we go. Alright. TikTok time. Go. They were probably fine. I just wanted to know how the fuck they did that. That's valid. I see a seal. And a Minecraft one. Yippee! Okay, there you go. Monthly Discord poll for snacks? Yes! No, they were fully on the concrete highway barrier with the... Whoa! 23, really? Already? Wait, what? Oh my god, guys. Oh, thank you. Yippee! Oh my god, is it gonna happen? Oh my god! Yay! It's actually 25% funded already. Okay. How do I... Wait, hold on. Did we watch last? Okay, we did. How do I change username? Something unforeseen happened. Me and Fallout 4 beating the brakes off. No, not the Hulk. Not the baby. Both sides is crazy. Get new seats. Your seats are gross. Damn. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit in it, but like, that's not legal. That's crazy. My mom. Oh my god, my mom didn't tell me about her depression diagnosis after I got mine. That's crazy. Do not see. Oh, why? Oh no! Oh god, Jesus Christ. Wait. I didn't hear the yelling in the background. This also happened to me? That's crazy. Mood. Mood. We're almost there. What? What's happening? When you're art homeboy. Wait, what do you mean we're almost there? Oh shit! Guys. Guys, we literally just put this here. What the fuck? Y'all are crazy. Hold on, wait, let me make sure the shipping information's right. Because this means it'll actually, like, send it to me, won't it? That's how this works? I'm pretty sure that's how that works. So... Oh, shit. Oh, shit, brother. Okay, it is correct. It is correct. Okay. Now to fill it with weed gummies, that'd be crazy. How it feels when you're home. Yeah, that's crazy. Ooh. Oh. That's illegal on Twitch. What's illegal on Twitch? We literally made a swamp goo at work today. That's sick. Was it like a big one? Never hold me close to you. This is so cute. No family borders, boundaries or doors. Oh, fuck off. That looks so good. Okay. Okay. There is actually a law that if it goes to a dirty, you can leave and they can and they can't expect you to work. That's crazy. Huh. No, I say damn. Oh, should I just push you for something like that here? And I stay. I'm in the UK. Yup. Yeah, the Eastern US doesn't have human rights. That's crazy. I swam in there. Yeah, no. Did I see? Yeah, got to swim in there. Yeah, that's so cool. Did you pet any of them? Did you pet any of them? I touched the whale shark. Yes. Nope. No. Thurberbingus. Thorborbingus? What the fuck? Oh. By the way, oh. Oh. That's me. Aw, thanks, Vex. You matter too. It's so cute. Alcohol got sent Celsius cans, so there's a what? Game and hiding. Oh. Like machines do. I like that. That's good. Oh. Oh no! Oh, they didn't mean for that to happen. Holy. How was that supposed to work? She tried. That was amazing. About 4 years ago. Stay goated, Vex. Stay goated. These are the world's greatest Rube Goldberg machine. I've seen a few of these and I love it. It was very nice. There's gonna be Lane trying to get treats. Yup. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna save this one. Hold on, I'm following and saving that one. I'm gonna watch that one later. You got the just wondering. Hee. No, the baby. I'm gonna lie, I don't know. No, you've sent me this. No, you sent me this. When you have a day so long, you hit the mood. That's the comfiest way to sleep, though. Press the digit change. You should... Oh, what is? Oh, prestigious. I don't wanna. What the fuck is happening? I'm so tired of people hating on each other, fearing each other, attacking one another. We're only on Earth for a little while and we fight amongst ourselves, it makes me cry. Valid. Oh shit, the grasshoppers, that's a clip of the first streamer. I gotta eat the. Yeah, you sent it to me when someone rated in chat and they're like, Elaine, would you eat bugs? I'm like, I'm not eating bugs. And you sent me that. Because I was like, no one would eat a bug. And you sent me that one. And I do not relate Patrick, but. Oh. That's valid. Me after watching any movie. Kind of like Mood though. I like a lot of movies. Wait, I need to get anxious for an unknown reason. Mood! Oh shit, I forgot. No, you're fine. Wait, what the fuck? Oh. I bought a pack of I bought a pack of locusts just because I was curious. I feel like locusts would be good. This is a hyena. He's a puppy. Running in the sky. Dude, this is crazy. Have you seen the start digging in your butthole one that he did, Vix? Or nacho cheese flavor? I would want like chocolate flavored. Oh, I have to show you the other one that you did. Hold on, where is it? This one. Our SpongeBob is the huzz. You could have Pixels print a mini vending machine to put next to the big one and put your meds in it. Oh, I could! That's cute! And then I could put each of my daily meds in a little capsule. Oh shit. Okay. 5% chance of an SSR tip. Stop! Oh shit, I didn't mean to go out here. Either this one. Wait, oh, I wasn't looking! If you're able to read this, that means you're able to read faster than the average human, and also it means you like boys and you want to smooch boys. I have to send this to my friend Body, holy shit. Remember twin, motherfuckers hate on you and bring you down, kill them. Mood. I don't know why Subway workers ask what bread you want. Obviously Italian herbs and cheese, you fucking... Dude! So fucking true. So fucking true, though. Like, I'm just gonna get the Italian herb and cheese. I saw your comment. Do you want that toast? Is that even a question? Boop. You and I are working on the Tower of Babel, and I asked you for a hammer, but you're talking... Also, my comment on this gives so many notes. Dude, that's how I feel about the one where I was like, I would just use this makeup bag for a hobo sack. I still get likes about that shit. So we'll see you. Oh, baby. It's possessing me. That was some fast thinking. God, I kind of want to face my players and play the new Subnautica, dude. Oh, fucking internet. It's okay. I have this recorded, Begs. And smiles. $100 line. It's my choice when GLs have been outlawed and they just found. Oh my god. Oh my god. People in Florida barricading their house to survive a Category 7 hurricane instead of just moving. This is true, though. Oh my Yuri. POV are getting glowstone on the roof. Dude, this is such a... The one time you recorded, we went on an hour-long search for a human pip. Yup. Yup. Did I miss the mouse anime? The mouse anime? All 27 followers who I gave a fireball shooter before the service. Air for air, why would you do that? Cover art, is it cold or something? Shark Tank, that's pretty dangerous. House of the Dragon, I'm surprised it didn't burn down. Butterflies in your stomach, why did you eat them? How motherfuckers about to be moving in the following week? That's true. This is true. Some animated on an Iron Mouse. Someone animated an Iron Mouse anime? What the fuck, really? Bad crowd, bro. We're gonna starve. I see. Well, that's so true. My wife checking on me after I said I could change her cars. True. Do not attempt. Ooh, man. Ooh, buddy boy. That was scary. Pixels, don't go back and watch. Do not do that. Do not do that. Me too. I got my VP ready, dog. UK can't stop me. Valid. Made eye contact with Oliver during his midnight zoomies. Dude, this is me and Moira. Oh, don't put your dogs in the water. We saw that one earlier. Coming back to the most dangerous is morning. True. True. What the fuck? What? Having ball. Acai bowl. Trash are older than trees. That's valid, but also what the fuck, Vex? I hope that spoon was biodegradable. Okay. How British kids react after eating a barbecue for— It's so true! I saw the videos! I love the creator! Wow, this is such a funny— this video is so funny, I know, right? Funny. I like it. Okay. 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 Probably the first one. For my third wish, I'd like a third genie blow. That's crazy. Oh shit. Yeah, no, I'm good. Also, I need to go to the restroom really quick. I will be 2 seconds.
Mom, why are there so many genies in chat? Can I have one? I'll only do a little bit of evil.
Alright, I'm back. Hi, Bacon! What I feel like that involves not a niche chastity cage. What? What? Scatter! No, it's okay, I'm here. Alright. Alright. What's happening? Oh, valid. Hide the evidence, one. Yep, rip. Nah, he's dead. How is everyone today? Good! We're currently watching TikToks together, and then we're gonna go raid my friend Miu because she's having a 24-hour stream to celebrate. You guys get Lay on TikTok who paints casting cages like Pokemon? What the fuck are you talking about? That's crazy. Yeah. Also, the effects of strawberries. I found out my nephew is going to the zoo tomorrow. I'd be more jealous if it wasn't hot. That's valid. Humble wizard teaching my magic special interest to my apprentice unwitting. Oh, oops. It always in the last. It's always, yeah, bro, that's tautologically necessary. What? What? Oh, I love this. But Optimus Prime was there! The fuck? That wizard is a boot. Oh. That has to be the last place you look. Oh my god. I can't wait for the next season of this. Oh god, might just reread the manga again. Stop, this makes me kind of want to play though. Bunch of meshy, and now we're into the edits. Here we are. Oh, valid. This is so fitting. Do it in place of not a guy. I played the first one. It's just I have a fear of deep oceans. I have tryptophobia. I can kind of like fight against the fear of deep ocean, but like the tryptophobia part sucks. I love that. LGBT, if you play Technotica, we need a bet on how deep you get before you quit. Good bet. Good bet. Me and my girlfriend are literally Marcella and Fallon. Marcella, that's so cute. Oh, the Kira bike slide. Oh shit! I didn't realize it was also an Adventure Time. For humanity, fuck those split lips. Yeah, it's a shadow edit. What the fuck? I just love Latina's side. That's crazy. No difference. Base Shanna. I like Knuckles most. But that was very valid. Thalasophobia is a fear. Yeah, that one. That one. Like, Soma was like a bit freaky for me, but I stuck with it because the story was so good. Ooh, the art is cute. Dude, that was sick. My girlfriend has that real bad Chibi Subnautica. She cried like 4 times. Okay. Egress. I tried playing Subnautica. I gotta regret it. That's valid. Is the next one good? Subnautica 2? Is that one good? I'll kind of try it. Adventure Time is my favorite show. No more egress. No comment. Below Zero is good, but I don't feel good about 2. Oh, shit. We all the games in order soon. Fuck yeah. That's a sick edit. If they asked me about paleontology, I'd say, I don't know, it's cool. But if they asked me on a deeper level, I'd say one of the most amazing things a person can study. The fact that fossilization has preserved for so long the remains of those beautiful creatures that roamed the same earth we roam today fascinates me in a way I cannot explain. Knowing we'll never see the animals we are studying breaks my heart, but I'm honored by the fact that by studying them, we are doing what no other species would, what other species does, remembering those who were and are now all gone. That's cool. Your mission survive. Yes. I'm playing it too. Hell yeah. One day we'll be someone's side. Yeah, we will. It'll be cool. I think I'm wired backwards because I find comfort in the dark, deep water isolation. Yeah, I like being alone. Going to college for failing. Oh, that's so cool. Hi, dinosaurs. Oh. 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 Oh, these are so cute. I love them all. On it right now. The next season of Dungeon Meshi will be a lot. I'm excited to be sad. Me too. Even if it kills me, I promise I will say, oh, 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 it feels so sad. I love the Spider-Verse movies. Can't wait for actually same. Where's my super suit? Where's my super suit? I'm gonna favorite this because this one I want to fully watch. If either happens after the Miles VA being pulled, Loli. That's true. I love this movie. This is a really good movie. I don't care how lesbian I am. I want Frozone. That's crazy. He does have cool powers. Dude, that was pretty cool. Literally no one, not a single soul in the universe Halo players. Fucking love Star Wars. You come to the right place. I'm currently learning the love of Star Wars. I watched all the movies, but we're currently watching the Clone Wars. Ooh. I like the pacing of it all. God damn. I want this to be the intro to like a documentary. The universe! Oh my god! It's so pretty. I like this font. This is a good font. Star Wars might be the way to get Elaine to read. No, not yet. The light novel for Apothecary Dice, though, maybe. Hoorah! Dude, that was actually kind of sick. In fact, the reason he's voiced by Samuel L. Jackson is because the creator wanted him to have the cold as well. Interesting. Interesting. Fuck yeah, Bacon. You and Vex have a lot in common. Oh my god, loud. Master Chief is cool, but I'm more of a Noble Six stan. I fucking love his voice. That's valid. I don't know who Noble Six is. That's also for the ODST game. Which one's that one? The year is 2552. Humanity. Oh. Oh. I like the grain. The heavy grain on this is actually kind of sick. I like the color grading. That's actually really cool. Woo! Is Halo Reach? Ah. Yippee! I'm so glad, Bacon. Yo, this is actually sick. Howdy. Ratatouille, IDK, how does no, that's valid. I don't either. Yeah, this is a whole Pixar edit. Oh fuck, we have to watch it. This movie. Oh my god, Madagascar. And he almost lost the War of Extinction. We went from over thousands of planets to less than 10. Whoa. Damn, that's cool. Aww. Age your oh, mood. I didn't win. Age the wait, what? Go crazy if I had any memory. Can't spell. It's okay. I can't either. We had a Men in Black marathon a little while ago. Damn. Damn. Halo Working Famous Mom, and I missed it. It's okay. We'll probably watch it again. It's really good. We're watching a movie tomorrow too. We're watching Master in Disguise. Humanity lost 9%. Damn, that's crazy. Wow, this is just Vexed in a video. What the fuck? This is my boy. This is my like kind of like 14-year-old me. No, not master. Yup, Master of Disguise. Yup. Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club? They filmed them during 9/11, by the way. Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club? I love that kid as a. I love that movie as a kid, so I really want to see how well it holds up. There may be too many edits. There are never too many edits. They're just really cool ones, and we need to go play Dead by Daylight with Miyu soon. Okay, we'll have to watch this one. Star Wars high-key getting me back into it, though. The number's so large, and I got bad RNG, sad, bro. Oh, it's okay. You also didn't know we were doing an edit week. Good morning. Fragile as fuck. So motivational. Swag City. Was this one Halo 2? Oh. I didn't know Halo had an anime. I didn't know it had an anime. That's a valid question. Oh, Kung Fu Panda! This is all of Halo. It starts in 1 minute. Oh, not the song I would expect from this, but I like it. iRobot. It was a series of small stories animated by different. That's cool. Kung Fu Panda, I love. Yeah, I loved that movie when I was a kid. Halo Ghost made me cry like a bitch. Oh. I like this one a lot. I like that one. This matches that one really well. That's crazy. Tyler one's right. True. Is this another Halo one? It's hard. I'm just not used to seeing Halo in fucking. I'm just not used to. I'm just not used to anime Halo. Mood. Halo is huge. It's just smaller than it was. I don't know who any of these are, but I'm excited. 54 fumbled hard. Oh. I love the mountains. What's happening? What is happening? Why did it get lighter in there? He just punched an old lady. He exploded them with his mind. Understandable. Oh God. Hey twin. I got something to tell you, twin. Valid. 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 We got through them, guys. Oops. Hold on. Nope. I gotta get this one. This is the greatest stream of all time. I'm glad you like it here. Wait, can we send us one more? Hold on. Reach a Halo Ghost and Cry. I'm gonna rewatch Halo Ghost and Cry. Get the late ballot. Oh! No, I've seen this! Oh wait, yeah, yeah, because they released this back when I think VShojo made it, or VShojo commissioned it. Like, I love it. I'm so happy. I'm glad you like it here. Let me go see what wife is doing. I'm ready whenever. That's on Minecraft and that. Okay. Okay. I'm just reading their chat. Do I have any TikToks to show you guys? I don't think so. I don't think I do at least. Oh wait, we gotta do food guesser. Shit, hold on, wait, we gotta do. I do food guesser. Okay. I'm sad we never got the Halo movie that became District 9. Oh, dude, what? I loved it, District 9 though. Okay, yo, if you like Star Wars, Mew is also a huge. Oh yeah, I know. We played when the Star Wars patch was out for Mew. For food girls, okay, no problem. Food guesser, yes. I did. Oh, you do it too? Nice. Okay, sorry, I forgot what I was talking about. This is Danish, right? Like, what is it? Sweden? It looks Easter. Yeah, it is. God, oh, is it German? Yay, it was Germany! I'm happy we got District 9 instead of a badly put together Halo movie. That's also valid. What is this? Lobster meat, mayonnaise, lemon cheese. This is all well known. The fast food chain featuring a soft toast rolled with succulent lobster meat. Lobster delicately mixed with mayonnaise, lettuce, and a hint of lemon. Wait, do you guys want? I forgot what I was talking about. Looks like a lobster roll. It does look like a lobster roll. But where would soft lobster rolls come from? New York? I feel like lobster rolls are a United States thing. Woo! And I can't help. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. That looks like a Culver box, Maine. Okay, so yeah, United States. Okay. Pork, pineapple juice, soy sauce, brown sugar, garlic, onion, pepper, bay leaves, pineapple chunks, banana ketchup. Banana ketchup! We're close. Are we really? It's not loading. Load. Not loading. Hint. 71% funded. Let's go! It's so close. It's so close. We'll have a treat. Okay. Wait, sorry, hold on. The banana ketchup. Where's banana? I feel like Thailand? I'm guessing Philippines. That's the other. You're right, it was the Philippines. Woo! Gastronomical genius. Vex, we got the same. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at this. All right, good job, team. Good job, team. Indo or banana ketchup? Yeah, banana ketchup. Alrighty. Okay, I'm gonna go and wait first. Wait, what chat did they want me in? Chat you want me in. I keep glossing over obvious hints. Yeah. That's why you gotta read it. You gotta read the little thingies. You gotta read the little thingies. I'll read the description. I gotta see where me you want me. Crow's nest. I go to crow's nest. What is crow's nest? Okay, alright. Go crow's nest. Alright, and now we're gonna go raid WAF. Let's go raid WAF. Let's go raid. It's okay. Elaine misses the food's name half the time. Yeah, I don't even realize that the food's name is there. Honestly, I don't realize until it's like too late, and I've already guessed like fucking 6 out of 7 times. Yay! Alright, we're gonna go over there, we're gonna raid. So we're gonna raid to Miyu, but then I'll be on Miyu's stream. So I'll be there. I will just look like a little fetus. You know? Thank you, Kiwi, for remembering the raid message. I love you guys a lot. I love raids. I love you. Shit, that's not the button I wanted to click. I want to click my Fuji tick button. I'm gonna be looking like this little guy. This little, probably scrunkly little guy. So I will see you guys there.